Welcome to this next episode in our EMIS at Home series, a program developed by EMIS to share thought leadership safely and securely from their homes during a pandemic. We are pleased to welcome Supriya Menezes, who will be moderating a panel discussion on the challenges of managing rare disease studies in ophthalmology.
So recruitment for any clinical trial is of utmost importance. And we've already talked about some of the hurdles that you can face when you're trying to design a trial, carry out a trial for a rare disease. I think it's probably true of all clinical trials, but it's especially prominent in rare disease that the recruitment and the continuation of a study, the maintenance of a patient in either the placebo or the treatment arm, boils down a lot to a relationship that the investigator has with a given patient. So if the patient is convinced, for instance, that you were doing this not purely for an academic reason, but also because you have the patient's best interest in mind, that kind of patient-centric thinking is a really important place to start, really probably for any clinical trial. I think it's especially true in rare disease. And Dr. Blody mentioned the coordinating center. I couldn't agree more. Having really good clinical coordinators who know the patients, who can engage the patients, who can follow patients is extremely important. That's kind of your face to the patient community. For rare diseases, a lot of these diseases have patient support groups, patient advocacy groups. And so engaging with the leadership of those organizations at an early point is really helpful in my experience. And then just lastly, we live in a digital age that's filled with social media, and leveraging that social media, whether it's Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, can help you in your recruitment. So I'll give an example, and here it's not necessarily even something that I've done. My lab studies the pathogenesis, the genetics of a rare ocular condition called uveal coloboma. It's a congenital malformation of the eye. And patients come to us from all over the nation, in fact, all over the world. And when they're here at the NIH, I think they have, by and large, a pretty good experience. We really try to give them that patient-centric feeling for their good and for the good of the research. Many of those patients have posted on various Facebook groups. Was at the NIH, was part of this genetic study, and it went really great. And I encourage you, if you have any questions, moms and dads of kids with coloboma, come on out to the NIH. Here's what they have to offer. And I can kind of tell whenever somebody posts something to that. We're not posting it, it's just the parents that are posting this, that we see an uptick in our recruitment. And in fact, recruitment has not been an issue for this particular study. So you can only imagine that if you were able to deliberately utilize the tools of social media, how well you might be able to do under those circumstances.
Having information that, say, Dr. Brooks provides on a website for this support group really does help the patient and the family, and helps us too, because we are able to get information out to lots of people. And it's tough to get many questions, because people will start to have lots of questions when they realize they have a rare disease or their child has a rare disease. But having sources of information that they can read about, I think, helps us really stay focused on what we need to do, and gives the patient that knowledge and understanding of where we are in the study and where we are in the knowledge base of this disease. I actually think it can help cut down on some of the questions that we have to field, because we want to just put it out there so people have access to it to begin with.
So, Priya, one thing I might add to my previous comments is that we've talked throughout this webcast about the importance of natural history studies. So obviously, if you have established a natural history study, you already have a cohort of patients that you're following and have a relationship for. And so that would be an additional strategy, if you will, for recruiting patients when you're ready to have a clinical trial, to start thinking about your clinical trial even before you're ready to actually start your clinical trial. and be thinking about it in the course of your natural history study.
So, how important is transparency and communication with patients and with their families?
I think transparency is extremely important. It's important for patients to understand the nature of the trial design, for example. Is there a chance that I might be on a placebo group? Are there potential risks to the treatment that you are offering for me? When will I know whether the results are going to help people like me, regardless of what group I'm going to be in? And especially based on at least your best understanding in, say, preclinical data or from early clinical trial data, what am I likely to expect, right? A patient who has hand motion vision, if your treatment is designed to slow the rate of degeneration, or even doesn't have to be hand motion, it could be 20/80. If your intervention is designed to slow or even stop the rate of degeneration, you're not going to make that patient 20/20 again by that intervention. And so setting the expectations, not providing, you want to always provide hope, but you do not want to provide false hope in dealing with patients. And so that kind of transparency, even though they're kind of difficult conversations, is extremely important, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that patients do want that honesty up front. And I'm sure Brian would agree, it's some of the patients with the rare diseases that are most committed to the research, no matter what. They know that this may never change, their vision or their life, but it can lead to further progress. And even I think many patients understand that even if the outcome of this trial is will show that this treatment does not work, we have learned something, we need to take a new direction. There's a lot to be learned, even when the outcome is not exactly what we want. So those patients, I think, are very understanding and very willing, generally very willing to participate.
Thank you again for attending, and have a great day.